Hey, what's happening, guys? Dan Darrow here with another Options in Play video update. So we are humming along through earnings season, and one of the main things that I recognized this week was that earnings seem to just be playing like second fiddle to everything that's going on with like GameStop and AMC and BlackBerry and all this Robinhood stuff. And it's maybe a little disappointing because it was such a big week of earnings, but the moves weren't too fantastic. Okay, now we got another big week of earnings coming up, and obviously I'm breaking down the setups, breaking down the pricing, but I mean a lot can change, and I mean specifically like I'm looking to see if things start to act a little bit better on earnings because then that will make me want to maybe increase my risk a bit, increase my size a bit. But I don't know. It's going to be like a day-to-day thing. See how it goes. Definitely more of like a feel, but still a big week, like you'll see. So before the open on Monday, not really much that interests me. After the close, really only one NXPI. Big semi, priced it in 12 points. Had a really nice run just up until like this past week, and then it broke down with a lot of other stocks. Still top name though. Doesn't have a great history of consistently moving on earnings, and I guess with options priced at about 12, it seems more like an avoid. But it could be one maybe watch for a swing opportunity after. Because it is at the bottom of trend support. Numbers have been pretty solid, so one I'll be keeping on the radar, but not sure I'm going to be playing for actual earnings. For the open on Tuesday, so Baba, uh, obviously you don't need me to tell you it's a big name. 16 points is what's expected. I'm really on the fence with this. If it was just standard earnings report, I'd say the setup is pretty good. Stock has some pretty big levels, and 16 points doesn't seem too crazy for Baba. I guess the problem I have is just like you have the Chinese monopoly headlines and all the drama around the IPO, and that all that seems to be a pretty substantial overhang right now. Um, there have been some quarters where it's moved well, but this quarter in particular seems like a tough trade. So I'm thinking I might just avoid it. Exxon, it's about 2.5 points is priced in here. Um, I'm not really all that interested on this. Chevron's numbers weren't very good. Definitely removed some of the uncertainty over Exxon. The reason why I'm bringing it up is just to say like I'm probably going to start paying more attention to energy stocks in the near term because there's been some really crazy moves in 2021 so far in this sector, and I have just completely lost track of them. So definitely a sector I need to pay a little bit more attention to. Pfizer. So about $1.75 is what's priced in on this. I'm kind of curious to see what type of benefit they get from the COVID vaccine rollout. It actually was up a bit today on the Novavax J&J, or the J&J news specifically, gave it back. It's actually down year to date, even while Moderna is up a lot year to date. So I feel like expectations are very low, and it could be one that maybe sees a relief rally, but more speculative. But still, maybe like a decent bullish idea. UPS, another big one on Tuesday. About 12.75 is what's priced in on this. I think this was more a victim of high expectations last quarter, and I mean the stock was up a lot going into it too. So this one seems like a better setup. Obviously, you can see it's hanging right at like a really major support level, but it's also the holiday quarter, so I think that plays into it as well. You gotta imagine the numbers are pretty good, but stock set up where it is, right? Sitting right above support. Obviously, there seems to be plenty of room to the downside if they do disappoint. I mean, expectations are higher because it is the holiday quarter, but it could be one that if I can get risk down, sets up out for maybe a volatility strategy. All right, after the close on Tuesday, huge tech night. So Google, probably one of, if not the best FANG names right now. It's priced in about like 114, 115, somewhere around there. This had the biggest move of the FANG stocks last quarter, and it's actually really great. over the past couple months. I feel like expectations might be a little bit more elevated on this one though. After last quarter, after what it's done, option pricing a little bit higher now too. And I mean, Apple sell the news, Microsoft was kind of a sell the news, Facebook sell the news, right? You get the my point. Some of these FANG names that are close to their high are more sell the news this quarter. So I think I want to avoid this one because of that. Amazon. So 225 or so is what's priced in on this. Yeah, I mean, to me, this one's more interesting than Google. Obviously, the stock has really not done a whole lot for months. Also, Amazon into like the holiday quarter is big. You couple that with like the fact that the stock has been out of play for a while. It just seems like it's really due. Um, and if there was going to be a catalyst to resolve the range, I mean, like I feel like this would be it. It does seem like it could be a pretty big move in either direction. I mean, I think I would probably lean to the bull side. Um, but I mean, out of a consolidation, I mean, in theory, like it could be a pretty big move either way. I feel like for me though, I would probably may just focus on the bull side, just as something maybe more speculative. Okay, Chipotle, pricing in a big move, about 105. Those options are pretty thin though. I mean, this is a real tough stock to trade because option pricing is usually high, liquidity is pretty low. Hasn't been a great name on earnings recently either, so it really seems strange to me to see such a big priced-in move. I'm most likely avoiding this. I mean, especially because it's right at its 52-week high too. EA. So about 10 points is what's priced in on this. First of the gaming stocks report. So it could be interesting. Um, what's nice about this is that both this and Activision report during the week. Take Two doesn't. So I think I might look at options on Take Two just as like a sympathy play. Plus, you get like 2 for 1, right? You get the EA and then the Activision report the following day. So you get two reports, and the options aren't pricing in an earnings print. Match. So about 14 points is what's expected on this. Pretty consistent stock recently. Delivered past couple quarters. Rolled off its high, and I mean I feel like it could be set up well for like a snapback move. Like if they deliver a good quarter, stock could maybe like snap back up closer to a high where it was. I don't trade it very often, but I mean maybe something I look at on like the bull side. Okay, before they open on Wednesday, Dynatrace. So about 5 points is what's priced in on this, but those are monthly options. It's not a go-to software name for me usually, but I actually think this is a decent setup for earnings. It's been in kind of like a longer range. It looked like it was about to resolve it just recently, but it rolled back down. It just seems like it's prepping for a big move, and even though the options you have to pay for the monthly expiration, they don't seem too bad. Um, I guess if I can get risk down, I might look at like lower debit volatility strategies just to see if it resolves this long range. Also on Wednesday before the open is Spotify. It's about 30 points is what's priced in here. Been a great swing trading name and not so much an earnings trading name. Last 2 quarters didn't work well around earnings, and it seems like option pricing at 30 is kind of high, maybe more of like a hurdle for me. I think I'm going to leave it alone, but definitely one I will be keeping my eye on for swing trade opportunity after the numbers come out. Okay, after the close on Wednesday, Invisalign, 65, 66. That's what they're expecting. It was a huge mover last quarter, one of the biggest ones of the quarter actually, and it's actually been pretty good since then too. But I just think it's unlikely to repeat that size of move. Um, and what's interesting, and maybe what I might look at, is Smile Direct SDC, because that one can sometimes move with Invisalign, and there's been a lot of action in it this past week because it's heavily shorted. So I'm gonna look at Smile Direct as maybe like a sympathy play. eBay, 4.25 is what they're looking for on eBay, and it's the holiday quarter, right? Stock looks set up to move. Option pricing is a little bit higher, but I mean it is the big quarter for the retailer, and it's an interesting pattern. So I think it could maybe make a pretty sizable move. I'd probably have to get risk down, but if I can line up decent price spreads, I might look at some like out of the money strangles on this. PayPal. So about 20.5 points is what they're looking for here. Um, I feel like it's been a nice swing trading name, but last quarter it didn't do a whole lot, and it was kind of like mixed. And with the stock having had a pretty big run, pricing a pretty big move, seems like expectations are pretty high. It just doesn't seem like a great setup. Um, so might be in a void for earnings, maybe like on watch right after earnings for like a swing trade opportunity. Qualcomm. About 12 points is what's priced in here. Leading semi looks solid. 5G plays have had real strong quarters so far. I mean, Skyworks just crushed it today, or yesterday, excuse me. So I'd expect this to be good. Also, I mean, Qualcomm absolutely crushed it. They're on their own report last quarter. I mean, I would not be surprised to see this maybe rally ahead of time. But if it doesn't, also seems like it could be set up for maybe like a snapback bullish strategy. For the open on Thursday, Bristol Myers. So 2.5 points is what's priced on this. Actually, there's two big pharma names, this and Merck. And to be honest, I don't know if I'm really interested in either. It's just BMI gave some financial metrics at the JP Morgan conference, so that's usually means like um, that's usually an avoid for me when it comes to actual earnings. And then Merck, it's priced in at 3, but it's just been so lackluster. I mean, the stock just has not done anything for a while. I don't see a great setup for earnings, so I think I'm gonna avoid that one too. Also Thursday before the open though, Penn. So I mean, definitely a great trading name. I just don't know earnings wise if it's a great setup because it's been in such a like strong run. They're pricing in 14 points, which is pretty high, and it 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 just really it didn't do a whole lot last quarter. I mean, it really didn't move much at all when it reported. So it's just I find it hard to lay out that type of premium when it really hasn't been consistent on earnings, especially when you take into account how big of a run it's had. It's just off its 52-week high. But strong trending name. Maybe it sets up for like a calendar spread or even like a fly. Just because that's kind of the strategies we look at for strong trending patterns. Okay, after the close on Thursday, Activision. So I mentioned EA earlier. Activision is Thursday after the close. It's priced in 575. Like I said, take two might be the way to go for a sympathy to play. Ford. So about 90 cents is what's priced in on this. Surprisingly, kind of interesting. So far it's shaping up as like a boom, and then now it's not busting entirely, but it's starting to roll over a little bit harder. Um, Still up quite a bit year to date though, and there's a lot of attention on this recently, and I feel like more eyeballs, maybe more volatility, and I don't really know if option pricing reflects that. So, um, if the option pricings do keep coming down during the week, I might look at this maybe for like a straddle or a strangle, some sort of volatility play. Peloton, 17 points is what's priced in here. Um, Option pricing, it's not cheap, but it actually does seem like it leaves some room. Decent chart. Occasionally, it's had a pretty big move on earnings. It's not as heavily short as it once was, but that doesn't mean it can't. That doesn't mean it can't keep going up, right? And I feel like if I can get risk down maybe a bit, might actually look at a volatility strategy on this one too. Pins. So 12.5 points is what they're looking for here. Just absolutely crushed it 2 quarters in a row. I mean, and the stock gapped up real significantly 2 quarters in a row. It's off its high. I would not be surprised to see this rally into earnings just because of how great it was the last couple quarters. And the question of whether there's an earnings trade is really going to depend upon how much it rallies or if it rallies and where the stock is going into earnings, for me at least. Snap. 825 is what's priced in on this. I like the pin setup better because their numbers have been more consistent. But Snap, you can see kind of a similar pattern too. Um, I suppose what might be interesting is that this pins and Twitter have actually kind of moved together recently, and then Twitter doesn't report next week. So maybe you could even like look at some cheap Twitter options as well, to see if it responds to the pins and snaps numbers on Thursday after the close. Okay, wrapping things up on Friday. A couple of retailers. Goose, 4.5 points is what's priced in on this. It hasn't had one of those real big earnings quarters in a while, but it is the holiday season, right, or the holiday quarter. Chart been kind of tight for a few months. It seems like a decent setup, um, and if it's surprisingly good, surprisingly bad, resolves the range. Maybe it has like a 4+, 4, 5+ point move. So maybe worth a look. But definitely something that has kind of like fallen off my radar in the recent past. And then lastly is Estee Lauder. So you can see when I scroll out how great of a trend it's been. It's priced in 22 points. Those are monthly options, and I mean basically like the trend says it all. Just been real consistent. Really, they tend to deliver just consistently quarter after quarter. It is off its high. Might be set up for like a snapback move. I don't trade it all that often. And I guess I'll see how the week goes. See if things are really working and stocks are flying around in earnings, then maybe I'll take a shot. If not, maybe I'll just leave this one alone. All right, and that's that. So big earnings week. Volatility's up. Things are flying around. I'm hoping for some good trading. It's been a wild January, and I'm hoping February is equally as wild. All right. So if you like this video and you're looking for more information on trading earnings or trading options into earnings, around earnings, please follow up with the link in the description of the video for more information on options and play. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. Stay well, and I will talk to you all on Monday.